Hey, I'm going to be in a Zoom meeting for about 3 hours. For what? For how much? For everybody or just some? Wow. Okay. All right, bye. Are we all set? I think we have a quorum now. Is that correct?
Good morning.
Good morning. How's everyone?
Morning.
Well,
Good. Good. Okay. I want to try to start on time as much as possible. We're going to call the meeting to order. I do not have my gavel at home, so this will be the pretend gavel, okay? First, I'm delighted to announce that we have a new commissioner, Ann Cheney, and I conducted her new commissioner orientation yesterday. Quite impressed with all the research that she has already conducted on her own in preparing for today's meeting. So I'm confident that she's going to be a great asset to the Board of Commissioners. So this will be different, but I would like to swear her into office at this time. So Ms. Cheney, if you would raise your right hand.
I need to stand.
Okay.
Good morning.
So is everyone able to hear me? Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm,
as the case may be,
as the case may be,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky,
and to be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky,
so long as I continue
so long as I continue
a citizen thereof,
a citizen thereof,
and that I will faithfully execute
and that I will faithfully execute
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
the office of Commissioner of the Kentucky Commission on Human Rights,
the office of Commissioner of the Kentucky Commission on Human Rights,
according to law.
according to law,
And I do further solemnly swear or affirm
and I do further solemnly swear or affirm
that since the adoption of the present Constitution,
that since the adoption of the present Constitution,
I, being a citizen of this state,
I, being a citizen of this state,
have not fought a duel with deadly weapons
have not fought a duel with deadly weapons
within this state,
within this state,
nor out of it,
nor out of it,
nor have I sent or accepted a challenge
nor have I sent or accepted a challenge
to fight a duel with deadly weapons,
to fight a duel with deadly weapons,
nor have I acted as second in carrying a challenge,
as second in carrying a challenge,
nor aided or assisted
nor aided nor assisted
any person
any person
thus offending,
thus offending.
so help me God.
So help me God.
You are officially a commissioner for the Kentucky Commission on Human Rights. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Congrats.
I very much look forward to working with everyone. It's quite an honor, and I do appreciate it.
So we have present today Commissioner Cheney, Commissioner Lewis David Fuentes, sort of wave, Commissioner Kim Delaney Ellis, Commissioner Tim Thomas, wave Tim, Commissioner Dr. Reverend Frank M. Smith,
Right.
Bishop.
Commissioner Debbie Coe,
Oh,
Commissioner Rebecca Suzette, Arnetta Smith, Commissioner Rabbi Lipton. And then we also have our staff members, Brandon Ross, who is sort of keeping the Zoom thing going, Brittany Cook, everybody just wave as I introduce you, Cynthia Fox, our executive director, Terrence Sullivan, Erin Spalding, you will be hearing from her later as she gives her report, and Mary Ann Taylor. And I see that Coach Sells is connected, but his photo's not up. So I promise you'll get to know these individuals much better as we proceed. Okay, do we have a confirmation of a quorum?
yes, we do.
We do.
Confirmation that public notice was issued?
Yes.
Thank you, muted. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Let's have a consideration and approval of minutes of meeting held on August the 20th, 2020. I need a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Motion carries. Now we will accept the executive director's report.
Just a question, do we need to approve the meeting minutes from the other meeting on the 11th?
It's not on the agenda. It just says
Okay.
consideration approval of minutes, August the 20th.
Okay.
Their minutes are included.
The Chair, the book was completed before the September 11th minutes were on the agenda, after the agenda was done, but the minutes are included in the book. If you all could review and approve those minutes also.
So are we to make a motion to move our September 11th minutes, correct?
Yes, I make a motion that we move to approve those minutes from September 11th.
And I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Executive director's report.
So good morning, everybody. I'll start with budget and personnel. We shared this last week, the good news of not being subject to the 8% cuts that are currently being requested as a proposal for agencies. We will need to work with the legislature and the governor's office starting in January for the next legislative session as they do the budget, just to ensure that we can hold those protections. On the personnel front, I will have conversations next week, next Thursday, and we'll be able to follow up about our managing attorney position and the status of that. And also still working on identifying sources to fill some spots here to help with our efficient and effective work. And so that will be something hopefully to share in the next month or two on ways that we can move forward in improving our work here and growing our team. As far as our cases, we are moving them out. We have 2 cases now that are ready for a hearing, and one that is getting pretty close. So we are now actively seeking a hearing officer and a date. Commissioner Cusick has indicated that she would be available to serve. And so that's something we're looking forward to moving forward with, to get some of those cases moving out the door. It's a big congrats to Colt on getting that moved, and he's doing really good work on getting our cases where they need to be and making it where we can move forward. As far as some of the things that have happened this week, or not this week, this month, or things that are coming up, there was an EEOC training that was able to participate in. That's also part of some of the professional development. But one thing just to add in, that we're instigating the Hate Crimes Advisory Council and the Human Trafficking Task Force. And so on the 22nd, we're going to have that first conversation, just really bringing everyone back to the table. And it's also part of our new website design, is we will have a page specifically for these things where people can find information and learn about what people are, some of the work that's going on in that area. Through some of the work that Brittany and I have done with other agencies, which I'll get to in a minute, as part of some outreach, we are putting in our request to join IORA, which is the International Association of Official Human Rights Agencies. It's really a lot of words, but what that is an organization of all of the agencies doing this type of work to really lean on each other and learn from one another on what's working, what's not, what are we seeing, some of the ways we can best support each other. Also working on doing a regional version with the executive director in Indiana. And that way we can have more region-specific conversations about things that we are seeing in our areas and some of the ways that we can best support one another. I did a Courier Journal op-ed about the commission and our focus on serving the people in these times. And so that was recently published 2 weeks ago, but it was also carried online for statewide and I guess national distribution. It was also picked up by the U of L's law school as well as the political science department and sent out to alumni, and really just getting the word out there about the commission. I also did a TV interview about our work and what we're doing now, and that was broadcast through, it was a Western Kentucky station out of Bowling Green, but it was broadcast. I got messages from people in Nashville. It was broadcast there and through Western Kentucky. I had my teacher from high school reach out to me and said that she randomly saw my smiling face on TV. And so that was pretty cool for me. We have secured, I know we talked last time about getting loaner laptops for enforcement so that we could meet our contract deadline. After doing that, I was made aware that other people on staff wanted loaner laptops as well or needed them. And so worked with COT in getting those laptops sent. We have had some issues with shared drive access with those computers, but that's COT is currently working on getting our VPNs either established or corrected so that they can have consistent access to the shared drive when they're not in the office. And I've also met with the designers of the website about both adding some of the information for that task force, but also the continued updating of the website. And so Brittany and I talked to them, and we both have access to now make minor changes to the website, including adding a page, updating your profiles. So we shared with Commissioner Cheney yesterday to that she could provide us with information that she wanted on the website about her. And then for any of you, if there are things that you want changed in your bio or added or to change the picture or whatever, just reach out to Brittany and we can get those changed and updated on the website. That way it's up to date with the information that you all want to have on the website. And we don't have to wait 6 months like it previously was, so it can be done within the week or so. A few other updates. The radio show / podcast is going great. We have had our 3rd episode aired yesterday, and those are after this 4th episode, we'll then have a consistent time slot that we could then tell people to be sure to listen in for. The way it works right now, they're testing out the first 4 episodes, and then once those are complete, you get assigned a spot in the roster. And then that way it's a little bit more consistent airtime as opposed to right now, it just airs when they're basically filling space. One of the bigger issues I know in Kentucky right now is our evictions, especially in light of COVID. And so from reading about some of the discriminatory practices that were happening in some of the evictions, we've been sitting in on the eviction court proceedings in the mornings, just really listening to see if there are glaring discriminatory practices for any class in court, and really just to let people know if they feel they've been discriminated against, there is an agency that is tasked with watching that. And so just letting them know that we exist, not offering legal advice or any of that, but just saying there is an agency that is here to protect people who feel like they're being discriminated against. That's ongoing, but we have that set as just when there's time, a standing court process that we can have on while doing other work if possible. I met with U.S. Senator Rand Paul earlier this month. We talked about the agency, its establishment, kind of the direction that we're going in now, and just some of the things that are on the horizon, especially in light of where we are, both as a state and as a country. And we talked about his views on discrimination and where we stand as Kentucky with that issue. And so it was a productive conversation, just really hearing each other out and getting a base understanding. One of the larger things that I mentioned to you all that I wanted to address is really getting a handle on what other commissions do and how they're able to effectively do their work and how they're able to best serve the people in their states. And so I've met with the civil rights or the human rights agencies in our region, the ones surrounding us, to understand their procedures, their staffing, their budgets, how they leverage federal money, and best practices on how they're able to do the work that they're doing, and use that to start really planning for what we can do here. There will be some procedural or process changes that are going to be instituted within our agency on how we handle complaints and how we move them through the office, with improved tracking and all of that as well. And some of the changes in the way that we begin our investigatory phase and how we handle intake. And so all of those things are forthcoming. I did want to share the most uplifting conversation in doing this was talking to the Indiana Commission, where 3 years ago they were in the same spot that we're in now. They had quite a few, over 100 backed up cases. Their staff was around 17, and the new executive director at the time, he came in and he did exactly what I'm trying to do by meeting with the other agencies that were doing that work. And he was able to mix some of the practices from the states they talked to, and they now, in understanding some of what other states were doing, they now have doubled their staff. They have 35 and they have no backed up cases. And so he gave me inspiration that it can be done. And I am confident that in working with them and learning from them, as well as our other surrounding agencies, we will be able to get ourselves turned around as well. Starting, then the last thing in light of that is starting next week, we will be doing a time study for everyone on staff just to identify where our resources are going, both by way of our time, who and how we're serving, and that will then inform where we need to shore up resources and where we also need to make some changes and adjustments. And so all of that will go into informing what processes we install based on those conversations with those other agencies. Does anyone have any questions?
Wait, may I go, Chair?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more just about the task force study that you're going to be doing? I know you said hate crimes. Are you going to be looking at anything else in that?
So that will be, I'm trying to see if I can find Marianne. It's really just restarting the task force that was initially, there she is. Marianne, did you want to jump in on that one?
Sure. We used, as you may or may not be aware, we did have a task force about 5 years ago, and different agencies that came to the table at that point sort of had different agendas. But the main thing was developing a consistent reporting pattern for all the agencies in the state. At the time, we thought that Department of Justice Western region would be our point of contact in which to do that. It turned out that it was actually Kentucky State Police. Since then, I think all the agencies have kind of fallen back and maybe even dropped some balls in terms of reporting hate crimes. As I said, different organizations that came to the table all had different agendas and ideas of just which type of hate crime was to take priority. Our focus at this agency changed, and basically the task force disbanded on its own, not due to any particular organization's response or responsibility. So what we're trying to accomplish in this meeting and in this task force is just reestablishing those connections, having DOJ invite the FBI and Kentucky State Police and other folks that they consider to be viable players in terms of hate crimes to the table. Let's make sure that everyone is on the same page in terms of reporting mechanisms. You know, what forms are we using? Who are we reporting to? Are they following through with their task? Because if you go online and literally try to Google number of hate crimes, it's really difficult to find. There's no consistent pattern of reporting. As you start calling agencies, they'll say, well, we turned it in, but we don't know, you know, where this information went. So that is one of the main purposes. Sometimes we do have folks that call, that send us pictures, that send us incidents. We forward them on to FBI, who will speak with their partners at DOJ, decide what they want to do with them. At that point, though, we don't know where the data goes. So part of the purpose of the task force is so that we can get a handle on that, so that should Director Sullivan get a call and say, okay, well, you all are the Commission on Human Rights, how many hate crimes or hate incidents did you have in 2020? He will be able to pull that up immediately. Also, you know, there are some legislative consequences. It's been in the papers over the past couple of years that Kentucky has very weak hate crime, hate incident laws. So should we ever need to come to the table and support that in any way, or try to shore that up in any way, then having a task force that knows where and how to get all necessary data will be at the director's, you know, disposal, at his fingertips. So, and you said what kinds of things? LGBTQ crimes, cross burnings, neighbors harassing neighbors, kind of thing. Those are the kind of hate crimes we've seen. Damage to homes, vandalism, that kind of thing.
Thank you very much. I applaud you guys, especially in the current climate. I think it's needed. So thank you.
Any more questions for Mr. Sullivan regarding?
Any other questions?
Report?
I do have one. In the team building part that you have here, it says still working to get regular meetings with managers to assess workflow and improvement. Are you, I'm sure you have met with your managers. You're just saying you're looking to schedule regular meetings with them?
Yeah, trying to make it more consistent. I just had this conversation with Aaron before we started. The crunch to get to the EEOC deadline, we've done a little bit more by phone or in passing, but not as scheduled, since they have things pop up with those cases. And so just getting a more consistent time to meet with each of them.
Gotcha. I guess my question is that you are meeting, you just don't have a consistent time.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Other than that, it looks great.
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions regarding the executive director's report? Okay, if not, we'll move on to budget and personnel, after which we will go into closed session to discuss personnel related issues. Budget.
Good morning. As you were able to see, we were finally able to voucher HUD. The chair knows how long we've been working on getting that approval process for HUD to vouchers. So we drew down the money 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And we seem to have it streamlined now. At the time of printing, we thought there was going to be an 8% cut, or a draft plan to cut 8% of our general funds. However, the Office of the State Budget Director contacted us and said we were exempted, which is great. Everything else, you have my report before you if you have any questions.
Hey, Brandon, I have a question.
Okay.
The object E221
Okay.
Just wondering why the difference between last year and this year? Why this?
It's a timing issue. Yeah.
Oh.
Probably the bill here. Let me pull up the report. The bill was paid after the month started. So that's just our monthly rent. And it was a timing issue of when the payments were made.
Okay, because it's twice.
That was when we were out of our office. I wasn't here then, but I think that the payment was delayed due to us not being in the office.
Okay.
I have a question.
Phyllis?
In regards to the federal funds cash balance for HUD, I'm happy
Yes.
at over $400,000. So when I look back at June and July, it looks like we've increased it by a little bit over $100,000. Is that just from closing out additional cases, or what is that with that increase?
Well, so we vouchered for the HUD funds for 2019. We actually hadn't vouchered, drawn down funds from HUD since March of 2019. So that's under my my first point under the fiscal and budget status section. $200,000 of that was for case investigations, and $22,500 was for partnership funds that Mary Ann was able to obtain for us.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's for the
'Cause I was thinking
2019 cases, the 2019 case year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job, Mary Ann.
Great job.
Any other questions regarding the budget? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel-related issues.
So moved.
Second,
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Brandon, if you could just be available by your cell phone.
I will, and I'm gonna transfer meeting host capabilities to Brittany. Let me move everyone into the waiting room first, so she doesn't have to deal with that.
So guys, I have my 4